Hey everybody, Ben here. Thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for showing up for yourself each and every day. I'm going to connect here and we'll see what comes through. I heard over the target. To see is to be free. Seeing like a hawk circling this particular spot. But also having the ability to see everything else that's moving around it. It's focused in, but everything's observed. Nothing's missed. Just, I don't know what it's called, but like nosedive down. Thick pine forest. Pretty much just came above ground level and keep cooking along, banking right. Sword back up above the mountain. So almost investigating something that was of question. Protecting your peace, space. Your kingdom. You're in a pretty joyful space, like at peace, like content. I think this is for someone that we recently put up boundaries. Definitely coming from a place where I think trust is questionable. Like in a way that we're not just trusting everybody anymore. We're and I'm saying this in the way that I'm saying it because it's on the fence of, is it excuse me, that we are too tight on our walls, that we think everything is a threat, or are we're just being thorough. Seven of Cups. Dreams and desires. This could also be fantasy, like our mind playing tricks on us if we are thinking everyone's out to get us. Been there before. So that's where I was saying of is our mind playing more games on us than not, you know. This could also just be protecting our dreams and desires. If it's been times, and a lot of people like to talk about this as well, that when we share all of our dreams or desires with someone, because we're excited, of course, you know, we want to talk about it, and people will knock us down with our, you know, their limiting beliefs or their fears, and then that'll get in our head and then take away our strive or our ambition. What else do we have here, Spirit? Which I think we should keep those things to ourselves until it comes to pass. If you've had those experiences, you know what I mean by get all excited about it, and we're gonna work towards it. We tell people, and then a day later or something, we start having these self-limiting beliefs or these fears about it, and then we talk ourselves out of it again. And that was just projected. That didn't come from us. Five of Cups, disappointment. just when I was talking about that, it did lead to a disappointment. Maybe we came to a hurdle and it was like, oh, that's an impossible mountain to cross. How am I going to do that? How am I going to afford that? Where'd my courage go? My confidence? Or if we're looking back at uh, just people in general and uh, trying to go in with an open mind, and then we see these red flags, we get disappointed. They're not the person that they presented themselves as. Let down. Do we even want to bother? Could look at that in a relationship sense. You know, if we're still carrying a wound from the past relationships, and we implement that, or we categorize everyone as that, it's not a good place to be. Uh, it's not fair to ourselves or the others. But if we're still working out of that wound, they will be. So it is valid to an extent. But if we've healed that wound, we know what it is. We saw it for what it is. That person was the wound. I mean, I should say, yeah, they were the wound and they reinforced it inside of us. It's our choice to have seen it, to have known that we've healed it, and then to trust ourselves that we know it. We're not going to fall back into that again. We're not going to seek that wound out anymore, that type of person. And if we truly have came to peace with that and saw it for what it was, we're not going to repeat it. But if it's still open, then we are. We're going to find somebody that is that wound again, and we're going to live it again. Maybe that's what we're afraid of. Reliving that disappointment. Or if we go back to dreams and desires, yeah, I tried this and I failed. I'm afraid to fail again. Queen of Cups, emotional wisdom. This goes back to this wound. Whatever it is, whether in a relationship or a goal or a tangible thing. A wound in either or of those, we have the emotional wisdom now if we've truly healed it. If I tried to do something like a project and I quit halfway because I didn't have the confidence, or a projection of another knocked my confidence down, did I heal that wound? Yes, this reading is coming through that way. That we have the emotional wisdom now. We see it for what it was. We had a confidence issue or a self-limiting belief, or it was projected that held us back. But we could do it. Same thing for a relationship. Yeah, I was in a relationship with this person that was the wound that reinforced that for me. But now I healed that and I learned. And I know what it is. And I know where it came from. And I'm not going to bring that into my world again. Because I have the wisdom now to see things for what they are. The hawk up above. Investigating. Not like crazy background checks. I mean, like, you can see people for who they are. Observation. Over the target. And that's a shame, you know, when people sell a really good story. Everything you want to hear. And then they're not what they are. What else we got here, Spirit? Hold on. All right. Nine of Cups reversed. Reassessment. Kind of what I was just saying is, you know, they sell you a great story and then they're not who they are. And we got to reassess things. If you really want to dive deep, you got to go back to the beginning and see how things planned out. And maybe there was a new wound that we found, you know? Or if that project we failed, we reassess, we find a different direction or a different way to go about it, a goal, however it may pan out. Either or. Tag in both your relationship or the purpose, the goal, the passion, whatever it may have been. Kind of like maybe when that hawk came down and he flew real low, maybe he was going after a prey and it wasn't the best time to strike. Page of Wands reversed, recklessness. The best time to strike, as in, that sounds drastic, but we could look at it as dating. Maybe we want this, but we reassessed and we said, you know what, maybe I didn't heal this wound fully, and it's not the best time for me to try to fill this void because I'm working out of a wound like codependency. Like I want someone there because I feel lonely, and then I could reinforce a wound or finding a person that is that wound. Or the time to strike, we went after a passion or a goal and maybe we wanted it too quick and we cut some corners. Now it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. We could knock ourselves down and look at it like I wasn't good enough, but really, I don't want to say the stars were aligned, but that's what came through. But it's more or less that maybe I should have been a little more prepared. I should have taken a different step here to make it more comfortable or more easier of a transition versus just throwing everything out the door and hoping it landed perfectly. And it didn't, and it made me feel uncomfortable. One or two more cards here, please, Spirit. Five of Pentacles, hardship. Either or those scenarios could have led to this. Obviously, Pentacles, we're talking more of a earthly matter, possessions, material, money type deal. If we were going after that goal, kind of what I was just talking about is if we were a little reckless and it put us in a place of hardship. Relationship could do the same thing. We go move in, all these things, sell certain things to make things work, and you see the person for who they truly are, and now we're in this toxic situation and we're kind of like being pulled between security with toxicity or removing yourself for freedom and to fulfill yourself. One last card here, Spirit, please. What's going to help for the collective? See it for what it is. And we got Seven of Pentacles, patience. When we look at it in the relationship aspect or the goal, these things, I'm not a very patient person, so it's not fair for me to talk about being patient, but I've learned to become patient. Some things are out of our control, and I don't want to say there's like a timeline, but in our experience and the way that our minds think, time exists, and we can't just build things instantly in this space the way that we perceive things. So patience has to exist because time exists. If we weren't in this dimension, it would be different. It's our mind, and until we get to a place that we can see beyond that, we're going to need patience because time exists. We make it exist, and we're not really in a place where we can change that. So coming to peace with that and having to use our logical sense that, okay, well, I need to take steps, and I'm still going to go after this, but I'm going to be a little smarter about it. And at least as long as I have that goal, that fire, that passion going towards it, we'll get there. Same thing in a relationship. Let's say we really want that, we want a loving relationship. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think everyone would say that they do, whether they're angry or not about them. Who the fuck doesn't want to be loved? I think it's a real thing. I think it's a fair bonding experience that everyone's entitled to. But maybe we're in a place where, you know what, I'm just going to catch my breath. I'm going to reassess what I truly do want, and maybe it's something farther out than the norm. Maybe you want to travel and trying to find the right person to do that with. And I mean like full-time travel, not just going vacations here and there. So if we just rush to get into a relationship, and they're in a certain area, we're kind of going to be brick and mortar there, So if we take that time to reassess that, hey, this is the kind of relationship that I want, well, then you build you and then find someone that fits in it. We don't want to go backwards or step down to mold ourselves to fit into someone else's life. It's the worst thing. I've done those things before, like when you give up yourself for another, you lose yourself. And maybe that's what did take place, or what had to take place for you to find out or rebuild yourself, which is an experience that can be painful at times and a bit misleading, but there's a great thing to come out of it, and it's you, and that's amazing. So I think I'll leave it there. I wish you all the best. If you like this, feel free to like, comment, share, or subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.